Tonight, parade pullout. A major sponsor dumps this year's St. Patrick's Day parade, leaving organizers high and dry.
Exclusion and discrimination is simply not good for business. That's the message.
Weather watch.
Snow tonight will get perilously close, but we will still have a cold and very dry St. Patrick's Day.
In morning, Harlem congregations heartbroken over the loss of members in their church. That as investigators find more clues into just what happened. The news is now. On this eve of one of the country's biggest St. Patrick's Day celebrations, more fallout tonight. Guinness is pulling the plug on its sponsorship, leaving organizers tapped out. But even if you weren't going to celebrate the big day tomorrow, it may still rain on your parade. More winter weather is on the way. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kari Tong. It goes hand in hand with St. Patrick's Day, but not here in New York City. Guinness, one of the world's most successful beers, says discrimination and exclusion at this year's parade is not good for business. PIX 11's McGee Hickey's live for us right now in the West Village with more. McGee, no Guinness?
Heidi, first it was Heineken, then it was Guinness, and tonight people here in the village are celebrating the sponsor's withdrawal from the St. Patrick's Day parade. The Guinness was flowing once again at the historic Stonewall Inn after a planned Guinness boycott was called off. Gay activists had planned to dump the Irish beer out on the street to protest its sponsorship in this year's St. Patrick's Day parade, where organizers banned signs identifying LGBT groups. But Guinness reversed course tonight, saying, quote, Guinness has a strong history of supporting diversity and being an advocate for equality for all. We were hopeful that the policy of exclusion would be reversed for this year's parade. As that has not come to pass, Guinness has withdrawn its participation.
We were thrilled that they decided on the, again, to do the right thing and be on the right side of history, and it's good business for them.
Gay activists say they don't know how much money parade organizers lost with two sponsors pulling out. First Heineken, now Guinness. Ford Motor Company is the only major sponsor still in. Ford's statement, quote, no one person, group, or event reflects Ford's view on every issue. Ford is proud of its inclusive policies.
Ford put out a statement about their sponsorship that made it clear that they were still in the camp of the homophobes. We got a bunch of emails and tweets from folks saying that they were actually going car shopping this weekend but would not be buying Ford. I'm sure that was just the beginning of a trickle.
Gay activists credit Mayor de Blasio's boycott of this year's parade as the impetus for the sponsorship withdrawals. Now many are hoping it will make the Ancient Order of Hibernians change course for next year's parade.
GLAAD's going to keep reaching out until the last minute of the parade, and we're going to keep reaching out until next year. You know, there shouldn't be anyone until the parade changes, the organizers change their views and change their policies. You know, businesses need to learn that, you know, it's morally and ethically wrong to be exclusive, to be exclusionary, and it's also bad business, you know.
We're saying that until we can walk down Fifth Avenue with a banner that says Irish queers and any Irish American GLBT group can march, there's a problem. So until that day comes, we're going to be out there.
We tried to get a comment from the Ancient Order of Hibernians. That's the parade organizers. So far, they have not returned our calls. We are live in the village. McGee Hickey, PIX 11 News. Back to you, Kaidi.
All right, McGee, thank you for that. And Boston's mayor sat out the city's St. Patrick's Day parade today because of a ban on gay and lesbian groups. Martin Walsh was working on a compromise between organizers and a group of openly gay veterans, but an agreement was never reached. Walsh said it's his job to ensure that all Bostonians are free to participate fully in civic life. Beer maker Sam Adams dropped its sponsorship of the Boston parade because of the gay rights issues. Okay, whether you're going to any parades tomorrow or not, you need to keep your eyes on the skies. Some wet weather is on the way. For more on that, let's go right now to Joe Chaffee in tonight for Craig Gallen. Hi there, Joe.
Hey, Kaidi. Well, two issues going on tonight in the weather world is that it's cold enough that it would be just snow, and there's snow on the radar well to our south. And earlier in the week, it looked like we were going to be right in the band of some heavy snows, but as we've gotten closer and closer to the event, everything shifted southward, and that will remain the case. The radar is showing most of the precipitation lifting more east-northeast rather than northward. So I think we're in pretty good shape shape. Still, advisories are up for Middlesex, Monmouth, Mercer, and Burlington counties. Still a winter storm warning up for Ocean County on southward, where there could be some 3 to perhaps 6 inches. This might be pushing it now as we're looking at some of the latest trends. And south of 195, maybe an inch or 2. And we're still going to cover for the idea that there might be a coating to an inch if that precip were to nose up just enough. And in any event, if it did, it would be out of here before the parade gets underway. The big issue tomorrow, though, will be how cold it is, because temperatures are probably going to be just in the upper 20s and low 30s. 32 right now at the park, wind chill of 24 thanks to a north-northwest wind at 9. And the other big story today is just how bone dry the air is. Relative humidity only 29%. And you can see some of the area temperatures down to 27 at Montgomery. Andover's at 26. A little bit closer to the freezing mark in the city and West Hampton. Islip's at 33. Bridgeport looking at 31. Trenton at 31, and Belmar is at 34. And there you can see how dry it is. And that's why this precipitation is having such a difficult time, because if it were to rise up into this dry air, it would just evaporate before it even reached the ground. So you see these numbers in the 20 to 30% range, a little bit higher at Newburgh for some reason. And there you can see quite a bit of snow to the south, but we don't see that push northward. So as long as we don't get a last-minute surprise, and I don't think we will, we'll be in pretty good shape tomorrow. Just cold. Heidi.
Keeping our fingers crossed. Thank you, Joe. The investigation into the East Harlem explosion is in full swing as to what exactly caused the blast that killed 8 people and displaced hundreds of East Harlem residents. Christina Bear is live for us right now with the very latest information. Christina.
Hi there, Heidi. And the fire department says they've made significant headway clearing the site today. They're one step closer to finding out exactly why this happened and how to prevent it from happening again. The NTSB, which is spearheading the investigation, conducted pressure tests on pipes and meters in the rear of a basement of one of the buildings. Tests in the hours after the explosion registered high amounts of natural gas, and the NTSB is trying to determine whether it had anything to do with the city's aging gas and water mains. Less than 15% of debris remains on site. Truckloads of 1,500 cubic yards of mangled steel and pieces of buildings were sent to Randall's Island and will be sifted through for any traces of human remains that may not have been found. Though all 8 people who were reported missing after the blast have been accounted for. The name of the 8th person recovered, a woman, has not yet been released.
We're still looking through the debris. We're still looking through a couple of areas in the back in case somebody was there that may not have supposed to be there.
Meanwhile, a funeral for one of the victims, 43-year-old musician Andreas Panagopoulos, was held in Astoria, Queens. He had lived in the building in East Harlem for more than a decade. Services for 2 other victims will be held throughout the week as 2 congregations gathered to mourn Sunday, one for its lost church and the other for 2 members who lost their lives.
I didn't have the honor of knowing Griselda and Carmen, but I've heard from so many people that they were women of great generosity and warmth.
And again, more than 100 families were displaced because of the explosion. Police and the Department of Homeless Services allowed some of those residents behind the barricades today to gather some of their belongings. As the investigation continues, the fire department says they will give another update tomorrow on their progress. Reporting live in East Harlem, Christina Bear, PIX 11 News. Heidi, back to you.
Thank you for that report, Christina. And the mayor's office wants to do even more for the victims of that explosion. New York's First Lady, Shirlane McRae, announced the mayor's fund to advance New York City is launching a fundraising drive. That money would support a relief plan that includes a victims assistance fund, funeral arrangements, rent, and household expenses. The plan also includes counseling and outreach. The organization says $250,000 have already been pledged. Well, we are constantly updating this developing story, so be sure to stay tuned to PIX 11 and PIX11.com for the very latest information. In other news, a 5-month-old infant is among 5 people hurt during an early morning fire in Brooklyn. Firefighters called to the Wyckoff Gardens complex in Park Slope just after 2 a.m. The fire broke out on the 5th floor of this building, but smoke rose all the way up to the 15th floor. That little baby is in critical condition tonight, along with an 8-year-old girl, also critical. A second infant is in serious condition. The smoke in one apartment was so thick, firefighters nearly did not find the 5-month-old.
Give us a little more detail about what you saw when you first entered that bedroom.
a lot of smoke. There was a lot of smoke. It was very banked down. So